All right, welcome back to Protestant Bros. And today we're going to be addressing slavery. And like I said in the last video, I'm going to try to do this in 4 parts. And the first part, we're going to address slavery among Israelites, okay, or Hebrews during this time period. So before we move on, first we have to have an understanding of what Israel's government was during this time period where these laws are coming into place. Okay, so when we read 1 Samuel chapter 8, verses 6 through 8, but the thing displeased Samuel when they said, "Give us a king to judge us." So Samuel prayed to the Lord, and the Lord said to Samuel, "Heed the voice of the people and all that they say to you, for they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them." Here, God, when he's talking about reigning over Israel, up until this point, from the time when they were led out of Egypt, up until this point right here, Israel is under what we call a theocracy. Okay, and it comes from the Greek theokratia. Theo meaning God or relating to God, kratia meaning rule or government. So just to put the two words together, God rule or God government, or you could say government by God. That's what a theocracy is. Every government needs some sort of rule of law, and that's what we find in Exodus 20. So just like in America, our rule of law is the Constitution. These are the principles of our government. So God, in Exodus 20, this is how it starts out. And God spoke all these words, saying, "I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage." So literally, God is speaking out his law to the people of Israel, to the children of Israel. And if you're reading this, it already sounds like a preamble. It sounds like an opening to some sort of constitution where God is addressing himself as the authority of the law that he is about to declare. So there has to be some distinguishing mark, some difference between the people of Israel and other people. And this is what we find when we go to Exodus chapter 12, verse 48. "And when a stranger dwells with you and wants to keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised, and let him come near and keep it, and he shall be as a native of the land, for no uncircumcised person shall eat it." So here, the distinguishing mark between a citizen of Israel and a citizen of other lands was the circumcision, or the cutting off of the flesh. If you were circumcised, you were to be considered an Israelite. That is you showing your acceptance of the one true God. Just like for Christians, our outward display of our acceptance of Christ is baptism. And then we're told again in Ezekiel 44 verse 9 that this is still the distinguishing mark between one who belongs to Israel and one who does not, if you're circumcised, because no uncircumcised person in flesh or in heart was allowed into the temple. We established that Israel is a government by God, right? This is a theocracy, and God is the one declaring his rule of law. And then we established the ordinance of citizenship for Israel versus other people, which is the circumcision. Now we have a better understanding of what God is doing here in Exodus. He is setting up his constitution. He is setting up his form of government. And in Exodus, what God gives, right, is sort of the foundational material for his constitution. Just like our constitution, if you read it, it's sort of like a skeleton of a law where you kind of have to fill in the pieces. And that's what God is doing here. He gives us the foundation, 10 commandments being the moral law, and then he gives us other foundational judgments. And throughout the history of Israel, it will be up to them to kind of fill in the pieces. And they do that up until just about Deuteronomy, where you kind of get a better idea of the law. This is why we call it the law of Moses. And we know that things changed throughout Israel's history, that there were some customs that had changed, that there were some nuances. And we know that if we go to Ruth chapter 4, verse 7, it says, "Now this was the custom in former times in Israel concerning redeeming and exchanging, to confirm anything. One man took off his sandal and gave it to the other, and this was a confirmation in Israel." So there were multiple ways that confirmation was made. Just like for us, confirmation of a deal is a handshake. So it just depends on what the situation was, what the event was, what was the circumstance in the time period, right? Things change throughout times. So just like here we have an example of a custom that had been changed, from the former times in Israel up until this time period.